Well, I'm going to wait. Hello and welcome to The Wise Why. This morning I am joined by the incredible, inspiring and fabulous Tom Gribby. I met Tom at a 42nd Street reunion and oh my goodness, I found somebody who reminded me of me. And I know that sounds really crazy, but everyone who knows me knows I've got a huge amount of energy. And here was somebody and it was like looking in the mirror. So as you know, this show is really not about me. And Tom, please take the stage as you should.
Oh, thank you. It's lovely to be here, Kirsty. We will share the limelight, though, in this instance, because I know, like you said, we share a lot of the same qualities. So no, it's great to be here. Thank you very much.
So tell the audience, because a lot of the people who click in and listen to the Wise Why, they're very business focused. And I want them to understand what it's like for you, because you have been incredible. I've watched you over the last, I don't know, was it 3 years, I think,
yeah, it was
maybe even longer,
wasn't it?
Yeah. Alice's Amazing Party. And you have grown from strength to strength. You know, I think you were about to launch Bass Menswear, and then your business, you were moving from one location to another. And I've watched you grow and grow and grow. So please explain that to, I've got Rabina listening. I love Rabina. Explain how and why you did that, because I'm fascinated by it.
Well, I worked, as you know, as a performer. I did West End and UK tours. Well, I worked internationally in musical theatre primarily, and a bit of commercial dance as well. And I kind of got to a point in my life where I was a bit like, oh, I need to make a change. I'd gone through quite a personally, I went through quite a big breakup relationship wise, and so I was kind of reassessing what everything was about, really. And there'd always been, I was almost kind of the odd one out of the family. I was the only performer within the family. There had been a long-running family business. So I was brought up mainly with, lots of insights into business, the workings day-to-day of a family business that was kind of quite large scale, actually. And I went to quite an academic school, so turned around at 16 and kind of threw that away as such to be a performer. So when I hit 30 and I'd just come out of this relationship and I was reassessing everything, I kind of thought, well, how can I'm too far into an industry that I love. How can I utilize kind of what I do in my academia and what I've been brought up on, the business acumen that I've inherited from my family, and use it within the world that I've worked in for the past 12, 15 years. So the natural progression was an agency. So that's kind of how it came about. So for those people watching that don't know, so in the UK primarily and in America, every actor, well, most actors will have what we call an agent, which is basically the person that will source the work for them and also negotiate contracts for them and iron out any issues that come across, any filming or, performance dates or anything like that. Anything the client, who is the actor, they're called clients in this instance, anything the client is kind of unhappy with along the way. So that's kind of my job now. So yeah. Absolutely.
It's incredible. I can remember, obviously, I was the performer like you, and I remember how important it was to have the agent and the casting agent and everybody on side, and making that choice on a good agent versus, and I'm sorry to say this, a bad agent. And there are, obviously, there's the PMA and lots of different organizations, but that to me as the performer are so important. And I can remember writing so many letters desperately trying to find a good agent. So to pivot, and I think this is what I really like about you, is you've pivoted, and a bit like me, you've used your skills, your understanding, your business acumen, and you've pivoted into setting up an agency. But you didn't stop there, did you?
No, not at all. I mean, that I was also because I'd seen quite a few different areas of the pie. In terms of performing and different areas of the industry. So I didn't just work as a performer; I choreographed a bit as well. I also taught, so I taught a range of ages. I taught like West End kids who were in like Matilda and stuff like that. So I'd seen kind of different areas of the industry. So I kind of wanted to kind of have my fingers in loads of different pies as such. So I went on and I produced, and then I decided I wanted a creative brand that I could physically sell. because a lot of obviously performing and then obviously agenting, it's not an actual product I can hand over to someone. It's not a physical product, it's a service. So I wanted something like that. So I developed, it was Bass Menswear, but we've just started doing ladies wear. I'll have to send you some lovely samples.
Oh my goodness. One of the things I've been desperate for is I'm going, and I can get something for Dennis, but what
Yeah.
honestly, please send me the link. I want to see
Yeah,
this.
we'll do. So it's mybasks.com now. So we've started doing ladies wear and also lounge wear, which was actually seen on Rita Ora last year. The pandemic.
So I did see that, and I am huge. So I love my loungewear because I've got a 5-year-old. So of course I love my loungewear. It's so important. So please send me the link. But you've not touched on it yet, because you have raised how much money for charity? I mean, when I say I am blown away by you, I genuinely mean I have watched your journey going. You are a total inspiration. You've gone out there. Not only did you do an incredible thing in lockdown, you also created a West End show. So
yes, absolutely.
I'm pleased, because
I'm going to
ask a really personal question here. How old are you? Because you're really young.
I don't feel it anymore. I went out on a night out in Soho the other night, and I was like, oh, I'm getting on now. I'm 36 now. Knocking on 40's door. So I can't get away with what I used to be able to get away with in my 20s.
So going back, we're talking about you've raised lots of money for charity. So please, because you really are an inspiration. It's stunning what you've done.
Thank you. Yeah. So I mean, that was pre-pandemic, was the first instance where I produced the UK premiere of A Pirate Queen, which was written by Bubil and Schomburg. Now, for those musical theatre buffs will obviously know who those two, but for those that don't know, they were the writers that wrote Les Mis, Les Miserables, which is obviously a big staple in the West End and on Broadway, and Miss Saigon. They were probably their two biggest hits. Now, The Pirate Queen is it was on Broadway, but it flopped quite drastically. And it's about the story of Grace O'Malley, who was the first female captain of a ship. And it was about her fight, the Irish's fight against Queen Elizabeth I. And it's about these two strong, powerful women that were fighting against each other. And then the final scene is where they kind of actually meet for the first time, having fought together and negotiated the terms. It's incredible. The score is absolutely incredible, as you can imagine, because the Les Mis is. I was really lucky, because you can't just put on a show. You have to obviously go through the whole rigmarole of gaining the rights for a show. So you can't get the rights to The Pirate Queen at all. I had to plead with Bubil and Schomburg, the writers, to allow me to do this. I mean, I don't know how I managed it. Gift of the gab, I would say. And then it just kind of snowballed after that. So I'd obviously got these rights, and I was kind of thinking, let's do a one-night gala initially, because I don't know whether it needs a bit of development, and maybe we'll take it on tour. I'm not giving anything away. Maybe we'll take it on tour eventually. But I thought, let's do a one-night charity gala initially, and I basically rang around of quite a few different theatres. And the London Coliseum, which is London's biggest theatre, kind of shown an interest and said, we'd like to have a chat about this. We think this would fit in well with our programme, with obviously the English National Opera being there. We think it would fit in. And I was like, okay, that's first time producing, first time The Pirate Queen has been done on UK soil. Okay, let's do London's biggest theatre. So they were incredible. They collabed with me, so they gave me a split box office deal, because I managed to charm them as well. So so actually it worked out really well, and then we ended up raising over £10,000 for Leukemia UK, which is a charity that was very close to my heart. But we had a cast of over 70, including Rachel Tucker, who played Elphaba in the West End and on Broadway, and she's now doing Come From Away on Broadway, and Hannah Waddingham, who people will probably know from Ted Lasso. She's just won the Emmy Award, so this was literally her final theatre performance before she obviously went off and did incredible things in the realm of television. Those were the two key characters, Grace O'Malley and Queen Elizabeth I, and it was an incredible night. Absolutely incredible. So that was a really exciting time. Over £10,000 there. And then I'm very fortunate to have spent my lockdown with my housemate, who is Amy Atkinson, who is she was one of the original queens in Six the Musical in the West End and nominated for the Olivier, and she's now playing Vivian Ward in which is what's her name's? Sorry, that's really bad now. Gone from my mind. From the film of Pretty Woman, Julia Roberts. It's the role Julia Roberts plays in the lead in the Pretty Woman in Pretty Woman. So that's Amy's role. So we obviously spent lockdown together, and we decided to do a 24-hour musicalathon where we got guests on Instagram Live and everything like that across the period of 24 hours, constantly listening to different songs and sing-alongs and stuff like that. And we raised about £12,000 there for Save the Children's COVID appeal. So we did that as well.
Just inspirational, honestly. That most people, I had stopped doing everything in lockdown because my daughter was 3 at the time, and I literally locked down with her. And I watched you from the sidelines going, I am so enamored. Just constantly, and you've named so many people there and so many people who helped you along the way, and it's incredible. But that shows you your the strength of your network, the strength of who you are. And I think that's the big thing. When I met you, you were this life force. I was feeling very nervous because I was a very different person from when I did 42nd Street in my early 20s, 19, 20. I was a very different person. I'd gone through a breakdown, not me a personal breakdown, a breakup rather. So I'd gone through this breakup, and then I'd re-emerged and I'd reinvented myself, and I'd moved away like you. I'd pivoted. I'd found that suddenly I'd reached that age that a woman wasn't castable, and I was struggling to find work, and I'd gone into the business world after going back to uni to get that business acumen. And there was you, this amazing, bright soul, and you just, I don't know, you inspired me from the moment, and you made me think. And you made me think about my mindset. And actually, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if I hadn't met you, because you made me go, you actually have something, you've got a brain, so use it. And you probably don't remember saying that to me, but you actually said,
yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like we said before, I think when you've got this creativity and you need to channel it somehow. And I think even when you step away because of achy bones when you hit your 30s, I think when you can't whack your leg up here like the graduate can, anymore. You have to channel your creativity in a different way, and I think I'm so grateful for the skill set that kind of performing has given me, because I think it's given me a really kind of well-rounded, able to read a room, able to instantly judge people's reactions and how people are feeling, a good sense of kind of how people are feeling about certain things. And and also the ability to sell myself, which I think what I've discovered, especially from the Bass Menswear and, ladies wear, is that a lot of people invest in you as a person primarily over anything. That's kind of given me that skill set as well.
I think that's very key. We are taught from a very young age as performers to walk in and read the room. I mean, it's ingrained in us in our training, especially if you're going to an open audition, which probably a lot of people have never heard of what an open audition is. But you've got to go and queue up with 500, 1,000, sometimes even 3,000 other people and shine in a room for what, a minute?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
and it's and that's tough. It's tough, and you've got to stand out from the crowd. Yes. You've got to stay, especially in that open, like you say, that open call, and it gives you resilience as well. I mean, God forbid there isn't. I hope there isn't an open audition. I'm just looking outside my window now. I hope there isn't an open audition this morning. Anyone tuning in from the queue outside Pineapple Dance Studios, queuing up for an open call.
I was going to say, I've done a few where I've literally stood holding the umbrella, and this was for Les Mis, holding the umbrella, battering against the wind, soaked all the way down. And Martin Gurr, I did that one as well. It was absolutely howling and bitterly cold. And by the time you got in, you were like this frozen person, but you still went in there and still sung.
I know, absolutely. And because there were so many people to get through, you literally get 16 bars to impress, and it's just it's a tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough, and it's actually got even harder. I look at my clients now, my client list now, and the things they are asked to do in terms of auditioning, and I kind of go, oh, I wouldn't be able to do that. And self-taping has become a massive thing. So for those of you that don't know, so it's always been quite big in TV and film, but self-taping is basically you with your iPhone recording some of the script basically from home. And that's become obviously a massive thing because in-person auditions and screen tests obviously were put on hold during COVID-19. So that became a massive thing, and that is a real art in itself. You know, as we all know, the ring light kind of fashion that is kind of.
I'm going to say something there, and I'm going to say that because I actually help performers do this. So because I coach what I coach, and one of the things I do say is get rid of the ring light. Ditch the ring light, because the ring light shows perfection. Actually, what you want, and I can't say the brand because we're live, but if anyone wants to DM me, I will tell you the vlogging kit, and it is called a vlogging kit, and I've recommended it to a lot of actors. And there's a vlogging kit out there that's got a softbox light, and the softbox light will light you well, but it won't bleach you out, which the ring light tends to do. And the importance of using that old, right the way back to Stanislavski's technique of using the non-important words and making that a seamless sentence is so much more important when it comes to doing the self-tape. So I actually coach on that, jokingly apart, because there's so many people who come up through theatre and they didn't have the TV roles that I got. They haven't used the tech. So if you were to see my office right now, I've got a light over. Sorry, come on camera. I've got a light over there. I've got a light above my lens. I've got a blue Yeti mic. It's a brand. So you can see.
Who wants to sponsor the next season?
I knew this one was going to be crazy. I knew it was. So I just want to touch on your family. You talked about your family's business and how that gave you business acumen. You don't need to go into the details of what they were doing, but I'm intrigued by, you must have grown up around that. So that had to have shaped you. Absolutely.
So it was, funnily enough, textiles, which is obviously what I'm in now. It was my grandfather, actually, who's no longer with us. He was one of the managing directors of Martin Emprex, which were quite a big textile company. Back in the 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And he decided to go off on his own and set up Peter Gribby Limited, which was his name. And then Ladies Wear under Laura Gribby, which was my aunt, is his daughter's name. So I have vivid memories of going to see him at work at his office. Being in the warehouse, I used to work at the summer and pick all the orders. And I remember picking orders for Harrods, for Phoenix of Bond Street, lots of different. Oh, wow. My granddad sells to these massive stores, and really proud. So I kind of was brought up along that. And then my granddad would give me like little nuggets of information along the way. He went into stocks and shares and things like that. So he used to give me little nuggets of advice kind of from then onwards, really.
Oh, that's lovely. So one of the LinkedIn users, so I can't see the name on some of the comments, has just said, other microphone brands are available.
Absolutely. So, and if the microphone brands was also like to sponsor the
yes, and I do coach on this all the time, and yes, I would happily take some. No, I'm joking. I have to get back to what I'm supposed to be doing. It's not about me, it is about you. I knew this was going to be a hysterical live, and I'm so pleased you said yes. So one of the things I always ask everybody is, were there any aha moments along the way? Was there any moment where you went, I'm really pleased for doing this, or why am I doing this?
Yeah. So many. I mean, one of the most rewarding things as an agent, one of the most rewarding things for me is someone who's slogged at it, not got quite far in auditions, because for a lot of West End shows, you'll go back about 7 or 8 times. You'll have what we call recall auditions. So you'll go back about 7 or 8 times, and making that call. And we've made quite a few recently, because we're going through the season of kind of casting at the moment. So we've made quite a few of these phone calls, is ringing someone up and telling them they've got the job, and it's, you know, they've achieved their dream of doing a West End job, or, you know, they've got a lead in a film, and the amount of tears that are shed from the opposite end of the phone, it is the most rewarding thing. And that's my aha moment. That is, I go, yeah, this is why I do it, because it is such a roller coaster. Being a performer is a roller coaster, and you have to, like I say, the resilience you have to, you know, have is just, you know, second to none. You have to put up, I think for every yes, you get about, how many would you say? About 40 no's?
Oh
40?
my good. I think I'd go even higher, because,
Yeah.
you know, especially when I was younger, because I was in that category of, you know, I was 8 stone, so I was very skinny, and I was pretty, but not perfect. So I wasn't quite the girl next door, but I also wasn't the lead, if that makes,
Yeah.
I kind of sat in a very strange category. And I can say there were years where I would, if I was lucky, and I'm going to say this, if I was lucky, I'd get a corporate role. And if I was lucky, I'd get a voiceover. And if I was lucky, and that's, you know, I remember the day I got the call to say I got Shoebox Sue, and I'd been auditioning for that, and I hadn't heard for 4 months. And I'd been told that I was still in the running, and I was still in the running. And it was 4 months later, I got the call from my agent. And I remember just sitting there and going, I don't think I could speak, actually. I think I was, because it was a great role. I got to play a man who became a woman who became a man.
Amazing.
So it was a great role. And I remember going to the fridge and getting out the champagne that I'd been sitting there for 4 months. Because I'd been told that it was pretty much a done deal, but I hadn't got that yes.
Yeah.
So waiting for those 4 months, and then wait for this. I had to wait another 6 months to film it. And what people don't realize was I then had to wait another 14 months before it was aired.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, and I loved, I mean, it was a great role. It was a brilliant role. I got a suit. I got a Savile Row suit made for me that cost, and this is like 20 years ago, that cost £1,000. It was handmade. They said I could buy it afterwards for 400. As an actor, I didn't have 400.
I just, not condoning stealing, but I'd have just put it in your back under filming it. Or the amount of shoes I've got from not condoning stealing, by the way.
I had my nifty shoes for about 15 years. I genuinely had my nifty shoes in my wardrobe.
Amazing.
I wanted to take my wig, but I couldn't. But I had my nifty shoes, so my little gold with the silver toed. I'm now trying not to do a 40-second street tap step there. Trying very hard. So you've talked and you touched very briefly on this, but who has helped you along the way?
I think, well, my family have been an inspiration, I would say, from a business point of view. I think I've got a really strong friend network as well, because, like I say, even as a performer, it's quite a roller coaster. So if you think I've got we've got quite a few celebrities on our roster, but also kind of normal, what I call normal jobbing actors. We've got about 70, 80. And if you think that one success in every, let's say 90 rejections, if you multiply that by 80 different clients, it's actually worse for the agent. The odds, you know. So being an agent is a bit of a roller coaster. So I'm really lucky to have a really secure friend network that kind of are incredibly supportive, that I can turn to if things aren't going so well, that I can celebrate my successes with. I would say they're all of my inspirations. So no, absolutely.
Oh, Tom, you really, even now, you know, I don't get to see very often. I get to watch you on Instagram, and I get to follow you on LinkedIn and see how well you're doing. And you just, honestly, every conversation, you just energize me and inspire me, which is why I wanted you on there. This is the moment where you get to take the mickey and you get to go, I'm going to ask Kirsty a question. So don't make it too hard. I know you. I know you. You're going to put me on the spot. And this is the one question that, I can't not ask you, because I ask every single guest. Peter Mawson's just joined us, and I work in partnership with him. So morning, Peter. I can't.
Well, I try not to embarrass you too much.
Oh, here we go. Oh. I don't get embarrassed very easy. I am now going, oh, why did I put this bit in? So fire a question. You can't even think now, can you? I knew this was going to be hysterical. Brilliant. We're going to get you back on because this is fun. So go on. Fire a question at me. Anything you want to.
Oh, God. It's quite difficult, actually.
Yeah, you don't have to. It's okay. If you really can't think of one.
If you could go back onto a West End stage now and be whichever role, which one would it be?
It would be 100% Fontaine.
Oh, amazing. Because you only have to do the first 10 minutes of the show and then you get the rest of it. Oh, she comes on at the end, doesn't she?
I worked really hard to get.
She has the best number in the show as well.
But I worked really hard to get with Mary Hammond to go share. Yeah. I worked so hard, and it was the one role I was too young, and now I'm probably too old. But no, Fontaine to just every night to sing. Share. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, everybody. I could, but to do that, I'd have to retrain my voice just to get it back up to where it was. But Fontaine, 100%.
I didn't know you knew Mary Hammond, by the way. Just a little side note.
What?
I didn't know you knew Mary Hammond.
Yes, yeah. So she was brilliant. She said to me years ago, and she was right. And it was before I ran away and rebuilt my life. Yeah. But she told me I had to make the decision of being an actor or a singer. And at that point, I couldn't afford. And this is what people don't realize about acting. I couldn't afford. Now, I'm sure she's much more money than this now. At that point, it was £60 an hour.
But it was 65 when I used to go to her. So she obviously made that slight increase. I wonder how much she is now. I'll have to ask.
I don't know. But she was amazing. She said I had to choose, and I genuinely couldn't justify the investment. And this is something I've learned in the last year. Definitely in the last year, is you have to invest in yourself. Absolutely. And as an actor, I couldn't justify the investment. Now, that was a really silly mistake. And I genuinely say that was the worst mistake I ever made in my life, because actually I should have found that £65. But because I was married and I was looking at the finances and my ex-husband wasn't spending that money, I couldn't justify the 65 a week, which I should have done, because actually my love was to go into and do and play Fontaine and other roles within the West End. But for me, Fontaine was always the one that I wanted to do, because I'd love to have played I can never remember, Mrs. I cannot say it, Mrs. the innkeeper. Thank you. Yeah. I was never, and I think this is really key to understand your casting type. I was never going to get cast as that.
Yeah.
And I knew that was the character I wanted to play, but I would never get cast as. It's like, I remember someone sitting down saying, understand your casting type. I think it was, oh gosh, it was a really good casting agent. I once did a workshop with them and they talked about your casting type.
It's so important. It's like any form of business, isn't it? You have to know what you're selling. You have to know, and you have to know what the product's USP is. And that's the same with you as a performer. You need to know what, where you fit in the, I'm 5'8". I'm never going to be a leading man. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be the comedy sidekick. Or do you know what I mean? It's kind of the short comedy sidekick. So it's about playing and knowing where you fit. No, you're exactly right. You're absolutely right. And it's like any form of business. You need to know what, where it fits in, where you.
And I think that's where it's really helped me niche down into what I do, because it is that thing of, if I was to cast myself in a business role, how would I do it? And I think that really helped. So it is interesting. Gillian has just said, agree, all investment is so important. I'm loving this chat that's going on. You'll have to go into LinkedIn after this and go in and look at the comments. And I will be putting it on, obviously, it's already on YouTube actually, and I will be putting it as a podcast. So I'm sure we're going to have lots of listenings, because this has been an absolute joy. Thank you, Tom.
No, thank you for having me. It's always good to see you. Always good to see you. And
we'll have to get Alice on. I'm going to have to send a message saying, watch this, Alice, and then get her on, because she is fabulous.
She's fabulous. She is fabulous. She'll probably have champagne, even at this time. She'll probably have champagne flute in hand, won't she?
Oh, you know, she, again, an amazing woman, absolutely amazing woman, an amazing person. And I am touched by all of you. So thank you so much for your time.
We're touched by you as well. You're doing incredible things. So
oh,
thank you so much for having me.
No problem.